Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth lecture of Engineering Geology. In this lecture, we will continue our discussion on physical properties of minerals. In the last lecture, we have already covered two physical properties. First one is form of the mineral and second one is color. Now we come to third physical property, that is streak. The color of mineral powder is called the streak of a mineral. Okay, means the color what the mineral shows in its powder form is called streak. This phenomena is more constant and more reliable than color. Why? Because sometimes it is difficult to identify the mineral through its color because it shows variety of colors, but their streak is same. Okay, in practice, instead of actually crushing or hammering the mineral to get powder, it is conveniently obtained for observation purpose by rubbing a mineral against any harder surface. Okay, and for this purpose, an unglazed white porcelain plate, which is called streak plate, is used in the lab for testing the streak of a mineral. Clear? So porcelain plate we generally used to rub the mineral in order to get its streak. Rock forming minerals, which are generally harder, may not give any powder when rubbed against the streak plate. In fact, most of them give nearly white powder irrespective of the body color of the mineral. Streak becomes useful in identification only when the color of the mineral powder glaringly differs from the body color. Okay, we can identify the mineral through the streak only when the color of the mineral powder differs from the body color of the mineral. Clear? Since in most of the cases the streak is either white or pale body color, it offers no hint towards mineral identification. Okay, the streak of mineral either it is white or pale body color. Pale body color means the color of human body without blood. Okay, so due to lack of variety in colors of streak of minerals, streak is rarely used to identify the mineral. Clear? Next is luster. Luster is the nature of shining on the surface of the mineral. Okay, based on the quality or type of shining, lusters are grouped as metallic and non-metallic lusters. Metallic luster is the type of shining that appears on the surface of a metal. Okay, if the amount of shining is less, metallic luster will be described as submetallic luster. Okay, non-metallic lusters is the type of shining that appears in some common materials. Okay, generally rock forming minerals shows non-metallic lusters. These are some non-metallic lusters that are observed mainly in rock forming minerals. Okay, first one is vitreous luster. In case of vitreous luster, the shining on the surface of mineral is like a glass sheet. Okay, in similar way, in pearly luster, the shining is like a pear, silky luster, resinous luster, greasy luster, earthy or dull luster. In this case, there is no shining on the surface of mineral, like earth or chalk. Okay, look at this figure. See the metallic luster. The shining is like a metal. Okay, vitreous luster, the shining is like a glass sheet. Okay, in similar way, pearly luster, waxy luster, dull luster, you can see here. A good number of minerals consistently show a specific variety of luster of their own. Therefore, the luster of mineral can be utilized as a suitable property in identification of mineral. Clear? Generally, metallic luster is shown by ore minerals and non-metallic luster is shown by rock forming minerals. Now we come to fracture of a mineral. Okay. Fracture is the nature of the randomly broken surface of the mineral. If you want to find the fracture of a mineral, you just have to break the mineral and observe the nature of its surface. Clear? Like streak, it is also less useful in mineral identification because a majority of the minerals show the same kind of fracture. Okay? Based on the nature of a broken surface, fractures are described as even fracture, uneven fracture, Hackley fracture and conchoidal fracture. Okay. What is even fracture? If the broken surface of a mineral is plain and smooth, it is called even fracture. If the broken surface is rough or irregular, it is called uneven fracture. If very irregular, like the end of a broken stick, okay. If the broken surface of a mineral is very irregular, like the end of a broken stick, it is called Hackley fracture. If the broken surface is smooth and curved, it is called conchoidal fracture. If the curved nature is less prominent, it is called subconchoidal fracture. These are some typical fractures of a mineral. Even fracture is represented by magnesite and chalk. Hackley fracture we can see in asbestos, tremolite and kyanite. Conchoidal fracture is observed in opal volcanic glass. Okay. Next physical property is cleavage. The definite direction or plane along which a mineral tends to break easily is called the cleavage of that mineral. Okay. If you try to break a mineral, then you will find one or two or more number of planes along which that mineral can break easily. Okay, that particular direction or plane is called the cleavage of that mineral. Only crystalline minerals can have cleavage. Okay, and out of them some crystalline minerals does not have cleavage. It is not necessary that all crystalline minerals have cleavage. Okay, cleavage plane represent the plane of weakness in the atomic structure of the mineral, and cleavage occurs as innumerable parallel planes along which the mineral is equally weak, and all such parallel planes of weakness are referred to as a set. Okay, and depending on their atomic structures, crystalline minerals will have one set of cleavage, two set of cleavage, three set, and so on, and some minerals does not have cleavage. Okay, for example, mica, chlorite and talc have one set of cleavage. Feldspar, pyroxene, amphiboles represent two sets of cleavage. In similar way, calcite, dolomite, galena have three sets, fluorite have four sets, sphalerite have six sets, and quartz, olivine and garnet generally does not show any cleavage. Okay, you can see this figure. Halite is a mineral in which the cleavage occurs in three directions. Okay, means this is one direction, this is two direction, and this is third direction. Okay, in three direction you can break this halite mineral easily. Feldspar generally have two direction, one is this one vertical and one is horizontal. Okay, muscovite having one direction cleavage. Okay, you can see here in this direction only you can break this mineral easily. Since the atomic structure of a mineral is definite, the cleavage character of the mineral is also definite. Therefore, it is very helpful in the identification of minerals. Now we come to the next property of mineral, that is hardness. Hardness may be defined as the resistance offered by the mineral to abrasion or scratching. It is always a definite character like cleavage, as this is also related to the atomic structure of a mineral. Okay. And hardness of a mineral is studied either as absolute hardness or as relative hardness. Absolute hardness means total hardness. It is determined under a microscope with a diamond impregnator. Okay, this is not of our concern because we have to deal with relative hardness. Because for identification of minerals, only relative hardness of the mineral is determined. Clear? And for this, the mineral is compared with the hardness of a set of 10 standard minerals. Okay. These reference minerals represent nearly the complete range of hardness of minerals and are arranged in the increasing order of hardness. This standard set of 10 reference minerals used to determine the hardness of any unknown minerals is called Mohs scale of hardness. Clear? These 10 sets of minerals are called Mohs scale of hardness. These are arranged in increasing order. Okay, in increasing order of their hardness. If a graph is drawn with Mohs scale minerals on x-axis and their absolute hardness values on y-axis, the resulting curve will be nearly straight with a gentle downward slope towards top, and this gentle downward slope exists between corundum mineral and talc mineral. Okay, but due to high hardness of the diamond has relatively high hardness. That's why see here its hardness is 42.4. Okay, this is much larger than other minerals. That's why there is a steep slope between corundum and diamond. Clear? The relative hardness of an unknown mineral is determined by scratching it with the minerals of Mohs scale of hardness, starting with talc and followed by minerals of increasing hardness. Clear? Suppose we have to find the relative hardness of any mineral, then we will scratch that mineral by the minerals which are used in Mohs scale. Clear? So firstly we scratch that particular unknown mineral by talc. If this talc is not able to create a scratch on that mineral, then we will move forward. Okay, now we will try gypsum. If this is also not able to create a scratch, then we will go for calcite. If it is creating a scratch on the surface of unknown mineral, it means that unknown mineral is harder than gypsum but softer than calcite. In this case, the hardness of that mineral will be represented by 2, 3. Clear? These numbers used in Mohs scale does not represent the magnitude of absolute hardness of any mineral. Okay, this number simply represent that the absolute hardness of talc is less than the absolute hardness of gypsum. Okay, next physical property is specific gravity. What is specific gravity? This is the ratio of density of mineral to the density of water. Okay, the specific gravity of mineral depends on its chemical composition and atomic structure, and it is determined in laboratory by using either Walker's steel yard or Joly's spring balance. Minerals formed out of weathering like bauxite, due to varying porosity, may show different specific gravity values. The crystalline condition of minerals also influences specific gravity. For example, quartz, which is the crystalline form of silicon dioxide, as we have already seen, has the higher specific gravity of 2.7, and opal, the amorphous variety, has the lesser specific gravity of 2.2. Okay, the quartz is having crystalline structure and it has higher specific gravity, that is 2.7, and opal, which is having amorphous structure. Okay, this is a amorphous variety of mineral. Amorphous structure means there is irregular pattern of atomic atoms in the mineral. Clear? So ultimately there is a wide range of specific gravity in the mineral kingdom. For example, amber has a specific gravity nearly equal to water, means 1 to 1.1. Okay, at the other extreme, platinum is the heaviest with a specific gravity of 22.84. See the range of specific gravity of minerals, 1.1 to 22.84. Okay, so there is a wide range of specific gravity in the minerals. So for identification of minerals, determination of actual specific gravity is tedious and unnecessary. Why? Because most of the commonly occurring rock forming minerals have a specific gravity range of 2.5 to 3.5, while common ore minerals like magnetite, hematite, galena, pyrite having a specific gravity greater than 3.5. Okay, and only a few minerals have a specific gravity less than 2.5. Means through the specific gravity we can predict whether an unknown mineral is rock forming mineral or ore minerals. Exactly, we cannot identify what is this mineral, whether it is quartz, whether it is feldspar, like that we cannot identify through a specific gravity. We can identify only that whether it is a rock forming mineral or ore mineral. Okay, because most of the rock forming minerals having a specific gravity between 2.5 to 3.5, and ore minerals having a specific gravity greater than 3.5. Clear? Now we come to next physical property of mineral, that is degree of transparency. It is also known as diaphanity. Okay, depending upon the resistance offered by the minerals to the passage of light through them, they may be classified as transparent, translucent, and opaque. Okay, transparent means the mineral allows the complete light to pass through it. Translucent means some amount of light is absorbed by the mineral and some amount of light is passed out. And the minerals with opaque nature totally absorb the light before it passed to the other end. Clear? This nature means degree of transparency of mineral depends on the chemical composition of mineral, what kind of impurities it has, and also on the thickness. Clear? Generally, rock forming minerals show opaque nature when they are thick, but if their thickness is reduced around 0.03 mm, then they show transparent nature or translucent nature. Okay, in this figure you can see this at this near this sharp end of the rock forming mineral. Here it is allowing light to pass through it. Okay, a light is passing through this, but as the thickness is increasing, the mineral start absorbing the light. Means up to this region the mineral is showing translucent nature, and after this it is showing opaque nature. Okay, this kind of nature is observed in rock forming minerals. Okay, whereas metallic ore minerals remain mostly opaque, whether they are thick or thin. Okay, so this physical property, degree of transparency, help to identify the rock forming minerals and ore minerals and rock forming minerals. Okay, we can distinguish ore minerals from rock forming minerals. So to identify the mineral, we perform a test in a laboratory, and in this test we use a thin sample of mineral, because we know when rock forming minerals are thin, they represent transparent or translucent nature, but the metallic ore minerals in its thinnest form also, they do not show the transparent nature, they remains opaque. Okay, so if the light is passing through the thin sample of the mineral, it means that is a rock forming mineral. If light is absorbed, then that particular mineral is metallic ore mineral. Clear? So here we end our discussion on physical properties of minerals. Thank you.